So let's kill this conversation then in the next 25 minutes or so. And now we're taking our closing submissions. There's one question that Mr. Mungai has to answer. That when the president said, I hear your cries at State House to all the creatives in the country who were complaining about the 15% withholding tax, was it crocodile tears? Because indeed, the process for participation was already done and dusted. So it is right in Parliament. That's one we're waiting to see, that particular response. And number two now, Mr. Ragalo, what is so special about this finance bill this time around, where even civil unions have gone to the streets to protest about the finance bill, and this reaction from the government that anybody now who goes to the street, you know, whether you're a small group, whether you're a couple of people, you're either arrested or tear gassed. What is so special about this finance bill?
Thank you. Before I answer your question on the speciality of the finance bill, I want to ask those people who went to see the president in State House, who are they going to give the document that they were carrying? Who is the president in public participation? Because that is not his job now. His job was to present us with his thinking, which he did.
Yes.
Then from there, unless those guys who call themselves what do you call this? These people who do Facebook,
comedians or creatives,
yes. Creatives,
yeah,
those
creatives,
bloggers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless whatever they do, they never went to school, and I want to be very harsh on them. So the president tells them, I'm going to look at it as who? Because the president was not going to change that document that is being written by the others, the other side. Unless president was going to sit with that other group and tell them, by the creative people were here, and they are requesting we reduce the excise duty.
Yeah, the 50%.
So now the president was going to sit with the other guys and tell them, this is what I met these other guys yesterday. Wasn't it not important for these guys to seek meeting the other group, which is a public participation? I could go even alone and do it, is it?
Yes.
Why would they go to the president? Unless walikuwa wanataka kuonekana State House, which anyway walionekana. And nayo iliishia hapo. I'm very harsh on them. People should do civic education. Why did they do GHC?
I didn't say that. Some of them are personal friends. I'm not saying
why did
Ragalo is one who said that.
Yes, and I'm still saying, why did you do GHC, geography, history, and civic? What was civic part of it? So that you can think and understand the civility of your nation.
Good.
Fine
What is
people.
so special about this finance bill?
Now I'm just answering those people. So that next time they do things, they start thinking. When I had an issue with BBI, I didn't go to see Uhuru. I went to BBI committees and offered what I thought. Some of people should have civility. Now when you see them wearing suits here, you think they are very open-minded.
Mr. Ragalo.
Tafadhali ule mama mboga mwenye wanadharau.
Tapigwa bwana.
Nawaambia ukweli.
Tapigwa bwana.
Our content creators, they all were creating content in State House.
No, stop.
Sawa. So the other one.
Stop. Stop.
The other issue, number two,
Okay.
is that who is our whip up to now? It is Sabina. So what will Sabina whip us to?
To Kenya Kwanza.
So what is the function of the whip in Parliament? Is to organize your team. So who is going to organize our team in Parliament? For you to understand why we were saying political harmony is important for anything.
Yes.
So who is going to whip us today?
Yes.
To where? That is the thing I'm asking. So if Kenya Kwanza disorganized us from day one by making sure Wetangula becomes the speaker, which is a fact, is a lie, because Wetangula should not become a speaker, because how was he voted? Which was the team to bring the speaker in Parliament? Was it Kenya Kwanza or was it us, Azimio? It was us to offer the speaker because we had the majority on paper. But now on numbers, they decided to pick our people, which is true.
I want him to clear his point because you're going to
on paper, we had the numbers. But by the time we were going for swearing in, the Northeastern group had sworn their heart to whatever I was talking about. Oh, group has gone. That is how we lost it. The speciality of this thing is where I was coming, all these stories coming to here.
That's it.
Lies, innuendo, and manipulation is making this document special. First of all, you lied to Kenyans when you are speaking in any market, any shopping center, telling them, oh, NHIF is going to go, we are going to have every Kenyan under NHIF by December. What have you made by December? So everything they said is a lie. They even lied today telling you, tuliingia juzi hatujajipanga. Bro, when we are in 2 years and a half, it is a half, a what? Half the Jubilee, administration of Kenya Kwanza, is it?
Yes.
When 1 year is gone, you are talking about a quarter. We are actually at a quarter of this administration. So you want to tell me, bado hamjajipanga at a quarter of administration? That's why I say civility. Inataenda mpaka na hesabu. So at a quarter of administration hamjajipanga, na unadanganya wa Kenya that you're going to make sure healthcare is affordable. You're going to make sure fuel is affordable. You're going to make sure unga is affordable. If you did not do that, the problem with this document, people are seeing lies, innuendo, and manipulation. It's all social. It's all social. So why do you want me to believe that the document that is going in is going for a discussion? Nothing. It's going for a pass. Because by the time the document is going for a discussion, you've already produced your what? Your finance what?
That's a budget.
Budget.
Appropriations, yes.
Appropriation.
Yes.
Are you going to change it?
No.
If this document fails, you need to go and sit on this budget again and change everything. But you are writing it with the mindset that this thing is going to pass. That is what I'm calling innuendo and manipulation. Manipulation, you are telling them, I'm going to sit pretty at peace. Don't use the word peace. Peace is used even when you're not at peace. I'm going to be at peace to watch people who are going to fail it. That is manipulative word. Unless I didn't do poetry. When your deputy says, whoever fails it should not come to ask for development at their places. Oh, Luo Nyanza have never been. We will not come. And I'm very sure all Luo Nyanza MPs wanaenda kuangusha. Kama watafungia development yetu fine. My friend, tutasoma. We'll become doctors, lawyers and everything. We've been there even when things were not happening. Tutasoma. What you cannot block is education in our head. My friend, tutasoma. Now we will come, become judges. We will come. You may take everything, but you can never take education. Tutasoma. So those are manipulative words. The only problem with this document are lies, innuendo, and manipulation. Lies. You said you're going to make sure you will not raise excise duty of fuel during campaign. You're now putting at 16%, the one you are refusing when Uhuru was doing the same. Mudavadi and you said that housing whatever bill that time was wrong until you made Uhuru drop some things and even to 1%. Right now you are doing it. Lies, manipulation, and innuendo. You think people forget? People remember. So why do you use the lies and manipulation and innuendo to push some of these things? We cannot trust.
That's what
I wish it passes though. Because the people we were assisting to see the sun refused and stayed in the darkness.
Yes.
Now they are looking for the moon. We're not going to give them the moon. We're going to give them a failed torch. Wacha ikitu ipite. Ndio wale watu walituleta kwa hii shida. Wapate common sense when they're doing the next election.
Pretty much.
And most of them are in here in Mount Kenya because they are still being manipulated. And I'm telling Mount Kenya people, you're being divided the same way it happened 1992 and beyond. You'll find yourself with 2 running presidents. The other teams will be there. The other team, look at 1992 when Moi was there. Mount Kenya was already divided. They were having so many for the Kenya, for Dasili, for the Wat, DP, all parties in Mount Kenya. Whereas Nyanza remained with for the Kenya, the other communities remained with their parties. You kept being divided. Then when you vote, you are fragmented. The other people, Moi was passing because you are fragmented.
Yes.
That is what is going to happen, and they are being lied to. My friend here is preparing their people for downfall, and I will tell him, I'm not going to die. I'll be breathing the next 20 years. I will tell you, you made your community go down.
Mr. Mungai, let's jump in. And I want to ask you from this perspective, and the same question that I put to you last time when you were here talking about the reactions that we've seen from the country as regards this finance bill. What makes it special this time around? Why these emotions that we're seeing within, not just within the citizenry, but even within your party? Now we've gone up to the place where we're talking about threats to party members, right? What makes it special?
Well, Simba, I've listened to my brother make his submissions, and one of the things I must tell him is that Mount Kenya is not short of prophets. So even as you forecast for us, we might want you to tone down a little bit because our prophets are still working. That's one. Secondly,
yes.
You ask about emotions.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who is emotional now, because when I listen to Eric, who I presume represents Azimio,
Yes.
you know, sometimes I imagine we bury our head in the sand and we are not cognizant that our flank is open.
Yes.
And him wishing him well and guilt-tripping the Kenya Kwanza plan, gaslighting us, is, you know, sometimes when we used to fight in school, in primary school, you would pick an opponent, and when the opponent beats you thoroughly, you would tell them, nimekuachia Mungu. And you know, really, you cannot come into a fight, and when I do you a good one, you start threatening me with other scenarios from the air. What I want to say is this. It is our first budget,
yes,
as Kenya Kwanza team. I do not want to say as Kenya Kwanza government because I'm not part of government. As part of UDA, this is our first budget, and I am particularly glad because for the first time we are having a debate about issues that affect us. You know, if we were fighting here about things that tribes and everything, that would not be a good discussion. But for the first time, we are having a very civilized debate about the future of our country,
yes,
and with particular reference to this finance bill. It's a good thing. I would want this debate to continue. I would want every input that is out there to be considered.
That's it.
Let us not shy away. It is a good thing when Eric expresses himself the way he does, and wishing as well, hoping that we are going into the river to drown. But he might not know that we are excellent swimmers. So do not wish us, do not be very happy that we are going into the river. We might not drown, my friend.
Yes.
We might just find ourselves on the other end, very successful.
Yes.
And I would want to tell Kenyans, especially our viewers, you know, sometimes when you leave Egypt, you know, you're used to slavery, you are used to food rations,
yes,
you are used to all manner of torture. And sometimes when you're set free and you go into the wilderness has its own challenges. And sometimes you tend to remember the rations that you used to take while you were in captivity. So the wilderness is not easy, but I can promise them that with the plan that the Kenya Kwanza government has,
yes,
we are headed into a land of milk and honey. And
when Unga is 300 and no salary has been added.
Mr. Mungai,
I was expecting you to say amen to that, not to dispute. You know, but
just hold on, Mr. Mungai. Just hold on. I want to jump. I want to quickly move away from that conversation, Prof. I want to point you out to how this number, and this is the last thing that we're going to weigh in on this particular conversation, because if essentially then it's come down to this. Now, let me give out in the numbers as we are waiting for them to start debating on this thing. So let's look at what is essentially the opposition side, right? Let's camp. If essentially we're going to look at it, they already do have 126 MPs, excluding Rebel Jubilee members of parliament. We're looking at it from that perspective, that you stay within the party, but then we know where you're aligned now. That's 126.
You could have given the whole Azimio MPs.
That's it.
Plus the ones that are even left.
That's it. So I'm just looking at it.
So when you talk of majority, we know.
That's it. 126 members of parliament, excluding rebel Jubilee members of parliament. That's how we're looking at it. There's one independent member of parliament, that's Migori woman representative. Okay? Let's put it like that. Then let's look at Ruto's camp, then the government side. If essentially we're going to use the word that has been used by party, Kenya Kwanza, or UDA party leaders, okay? Now, we're looking at it in this sense. Raila's camp essentially now is represented by 127. We'll leave it there. Good. Ruto's camp, we're looking at 221 for starters, okay? And Kenya Kwanza, 165 members of parliament, all right? We're looking at Azimio breakaway parties, all right? That are 14 members of parliament that have essentially then joined his camp. We're looking at ODM rebels, all right? 6 members of parliament. We're looking at Jubilee rebel members of parliament that are 25. Then independent, if you do remember, the ones who joined the party as well, 11 members of parliament. Now, there's also one factor here that we have to look at if indeed we're going to talk about exactly how this debate is going to go. The Azimio side are going into this debate before the registrar of political parties receives the final submissions of that NDC. She didn't say it was illegal. She's saying, I'm waiting for all the paperwork to come in so that I could actually put in place what you said. So in terms of them having a whip, they still do have Sabina Chege. It's a debate. And the numbers are going to play out. So here's the thing. Are we right to say that indeed it's a lost battle?
Yes.
The only prayer, Prof, is that indeed members of parliament are going to wake up to their senses and stop listening to the president, stop listening to the DP, stop listening to the likes of Cheriot and Senator Cherargei and the likes of the majority whip now, Osoro, and say, we are going to debate issues and we're going to amend particular issues. What is the likely scenario today, Prof, once you know the numbers and the issues that are put to you?
Thank you very much, Simba. This is what we are supposed to begin with.
Yeah.
I told you before that we can waste time on the questions that the two Erics are answering, but this is now Solomonic. I think, Simba, give it to them.
Yes.
And I will start, I'll start this way.
Yes.
First of all, I empathize with what my brother Eric Ragalo is saying, but there's something which is missing here. When these people have proposed their budget and the memoranda to the tax bill, where is that one from Azimio? Because you see what's happening? Shadow government, opposition, why we had even shadow cabinets. As we speak now, Oparanya was appointed by Raila as CS Treasury before the election. He should also say what should be the counter budget that people are looking for. No, when you go and say it is A or A or A,
yes,
there's no alternative. As an expert in decision making, a decision is a choice between at least 2 or 3 alternatives. You cannot have a decision between yes or yes. So that's the if you reject this bill, then what do we pass? So there should be sometimes there should have been, let's say, 3, 4 bills, yes, according to me. In fact, as a leader of Operation Dogatuzi, we are looking at a point whereby these numbers are not supposed to vote against one. Even in an election, we have 3, 4 candidates. Here in Parliament, we have one candidate, the finance bill, which is called Zakayo bill, isn't
yes,
it?
Yes.
So we have one Zakayo bill to vote for. They should all vote for them. Why, if there's only one person vying for an election, it's unopposed. So this bill will pass unopposed. Because there's no opposer. There's no opposer.
That's what you foresee.
Yes, there's no opposer because what are you opposing? Well, you cannot just say no. In fact, it's not intelligent enough even for leader of minority in parliament to oppose this thing without proposing.
Yes.
You should say, I oppose this, I propose this one. So for me, that's where the issue is. And if I can tell you, if you see it, William Ruto is a very smart politician. In fact, the fact that he has become president,
yes,
beating Raila Odinga, who has tried 5 times,
yes,
and is doing the first term and winning, he's a smart politician.
Yes.
This bill is not an economic bill. This is a political bill. I've told you the formulation is this way. Ruto versus Raila. It is not about the content of the bill. So my brother is giving us a very bad discussion by saying this bill has been deeply debated. Which debate have you had? We have not had any debate. After all, there is no intellectual discourse going on. KEPSA, KMA, all those associations has presented a memoranda suggesting this bill is dangerous and is still going. What are we talking about discussion? If my brother here is more political, like he is here, now in Parliament, it is even more political than this. So there is no economic discussion in Parliament.
Yes.
I've done my survey. Only 2% of members of Parliament, these numbers you give me,
yes,
have got a basic education in economics. Most of them are business people, lawyers, isn't it? Among other professions. They are not hard-nosed economists who knows that at stagflation means that unemployment is really high, inflation is high, and also we are talking about the issue poverty has gone up, and then somebody is increasing taxation. Stagflation means that the economy will be choked. I can also tell you, Kenya Kwanza won't collect these taxes. We are going to register deficits of taxes after taxes. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Somebody has put a gun on their head. The only person who can stop this bill is not these members of Parliament. Is William Ruto getting into his senses, not members of Parliament getting into their senses. Because the only sense here
yes,
is William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. There is no sense in Parliament as I speak.
yes,
If there is sense, garbage in, garbage out could have not happened. This is the only thing. And then I can tell you again, all these things, you can say he's the chief whip and the rest. There's what you call on paper, but on the floor of the House, even these numbers are much better by giving Raila 127. You will see that these figures will be below 127. Against the bill. There'll be less against
yes,
than 127. Mark my words. I'm an economist. Numbers don't lie. And I'm telling you, some people will vote yes, but their yes are very different. There's yes to punish. Wanasema mtoto akililia wembe mpe. Sasa wembe itapewa. Na wembe ni finance bill. Somebody atajinyoa na wembe yake na bila kumwagia maji. It will be very painful. I'm telling you, this bill is going to pass.
yes,
These numbers, there's nothing here. In fact, remember also there's something very interesting about Parliament that people are not getting here. In the Constitution of Kenya, we are talking about one thing which is important. There is no opposition in Parliament. We have majority and minority.
yes,
And Parliament should not be looking at numbers for us and against us. Parliament should be debating as a unit and pass this bill as a unit or reject it as a unit, because
yes,
that's the leadership of the Speaker. If the Speaker cannot provide us to have, if our Parliament is divided, yet Kenya should be united.
yes,
Prayer breakfast should be united today. Then tomorrow, we are fighting in Parliament. There's no such a thing as a country.
Pretty
For
much.
me, the president's priority for me, if you ask me,
yes,
unite the country, because what I'm looking for, in
yes,
fact, Mungai, I'm praying for a time when these young people can tweet
yes,
and said, come invest in my country. In Korea, it's happening. Can you imagine in our social media, everybody is insulting the other? While in some countries, people are tweeting and say, come and visit my country. We have tourism there. We have investment here. It's a beautiful country here and there. Kenya is beautiful. Let us be united first. And political peace
yes,
has priority over this economic thing. And any country that has developed have to enjoy a stable political environment, because if you are investors sitting in New York, sitting in London, in Paris, and you are looking at the front page of Kenya, very busy with the tax, this tax, that, Raila says this, Ruto says that. When you go to Uganda, Tanzania is very quiet.
yes,
Tanzania is about youth education. You can invest in education. But for if you are seeing Raila insulting Ruto on front page, do you invest in Ruto or Raila? You invest in Kenya. When you go to Uganda, it's quiet. Of course, now there will be a bit of noise about LGBTQ or something like that. But nevertheless, Muveni say, you'll never air those nonsense on my television. So I'm trying to say here is that, why don't we unite first? Even at home, your wife can refuse to go for dinner, even if you have Subaru or, let's say, Ferrari taking you, if there's no peace. Let us unite first, political stability first, unite parliament, unite judiciary, unite executive, and let the government work. Unite Kenyans, let's be one. These things where Ragalo is saying, we and them, we are one country. one nation, united under one flag, under one constitution. Let us unite Kenyans, because let me tell you what, my brother, when I finish, Kenyans, listen to me. You are more united economically,
Yes.
more than tribally. Because let me tell you what, if a Luo's business bans, some Kikuyus suffer. If a Kikuyu's business bans or fails, some Luos, Kalenjins, Kambas, Luyas suffer. In this place, Look Up TV, this is not a tribal place. These young employees who are here, they are looking forward to Look Up TV to succeed, and there's nothing like tribal here. If this thing fails, if this business belongs to any tribe, I don't know who owns it.
Yes.
All of us fail. Me and you, I can't talk here if it fails. So let us know that we are, our Rubicon, that umbilical cord,
Yes.
is the economy.
Pretty much.
And that's why I'm asking Kenyans, let us unite, saying that Nyanza should fail.